Good evening. This is Howard Middlebrooks with WHMM News. We have a breaking information on parenting pedagogies. We will focus on team-based learning. We would like to let our viewers know that team-based learning is TBL, a collaborative learning and teaching strategy that enables people to follow a structured process to enhance students' engagement and the quality of student or trainee learning. Team-based learning is a teacher-direct strategy for incorporating small groups, active participation in a large group educational setting. This known theory for TBL is from Larry Michelson, and he conducted this in 1970. Team-based learning has in recent years been advanced by Duke Corporate Educational and Pricewaterhouse Corp. In 2005, Rudy Rosenblum, then president of Duke Corporate Education, and Tom Evans, chief learning officer of Bryce Waterhouse Coopers, began to explore the learning environment in teaching hotels and its possible transferability in corporate environments. We have sat down with a local high school teacher and a local community leader and got their views. But we find that some of the habits of mind present for TBL are managing, thinking flexible, thinking about thinking, striving for accuracy, questioning and posing problems, applying past knowledge to new. The first question was for Coach Silas: how does team-based learning work in your collaborative classroom?
Well, in my classroom, team-based learning works well, my collaborative classroom, because it allows for the strengths of others, students, help with the weakness of others. With guided facilitation from me, of course, students are able to help each other all by discussing difficult lessons, and then also just discussing the things that they're familiar with and some of the things they're not familiar with guided understanding from me.
Curricular mapping provides a rich opportunity for building curriculum as a decision-making process. The power of these conversations comes from the 5 basic groups of decisions that teachers consider: deciding on content, strategies and skills, deciding on the focus for the habits of mind. Here is an example of TBL in action.
If I got highlighter, Brayden.
Go right there.
Right here? No need to get.
They can benefit from structured interaction with others. Actively involving students in learning. Each member has an opportunity to contribute in the small group. Students are apt to take more ownership of the material and think critically about related issues when they work as a team.
Okay, that's it. Into the classroom. Why? This goes here.
No.
When we're done today?
It's this one.
That says 2.
When using team-based, how do you know which best practice for size and duration for your lesson?
Through experience, and then also just able to base the information through observations, through formative assessment and summative assessments, and then the data from the school-wide tests that we have the students take. This information allows me to place the students in teams that are more efficient for the students' growth of learning. By me able to break down that data and understanding I have this group and understanding this group of kids have this, I can group them together and build an actual solid foundation with them.
How does guiding questions work and introducing the lesson to your students?
This is one thing to help me understand the prior knowledge that the students have or retain, and then also give the students a base to actually start with, something that they might be familiar with or things that they might not be familiar with. It also gives an idea of the lesson that will be presented to the students and maybe spike a level of interest or maybe not a level of interest for the students.
TBL advantages and disadvantages. Advantages: working in teams increases collaboration and allows brainstorming. More ideas are developed and productively improved. Finishing of difficult tasks and increasing creativity. Disadvantages. Members who sit back and let others do all the work. Requires many meetings. Making decisions can take longer for the sake of finding a conclusion. The question I had for the local community leader was, as a community leader, what are some pros and cons about team-based learning?
Thank you for asking that question, sir. As a community leader, there are definitely some advantages and disadvantages in team-based learning, and there are some pros and cons. For the 21st century, there are certain skills that are important for the learner to know now than ever before. For when you give them this information, there's a far-reaching impact and a partnership when team-based leaders. We generally emphasize the 4 C's, which is communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. These skills help the learner, and not only do they help the learner, but these learners need for success in school, work, and in life. There's a consensus that the learner needs transparency level skills in these areas. In team-based learning, we have found that problem solving, creativity, analytical thinking, collaboration, communication, ethics, and actions and accountability are some of the advantages that we get with team-based learning. For there's a relationship and partnering, and what we do, we use a particular strategy, and we mean that we use a dynamic relationship between learning, teaching, and culture. In team-based learning, there could and would and is a disadvantage where we can have one person that dominate the class. Also, not only that, we can end up with what we like to call groupthink, meaning that the certain group all think alike because one person pretty much dominated. But if we use effectively team-based learning skills in the community, is a wonderful opportunity, and we will continue to use team-based learning. Thank you.
For my closing statement, team-based learning has been suggested to help students who seem interested in subject matter, do not do their homework, and have difficulty understanding material. TBL can transform traditional content with application and perform solving skills while developing interpersonal skills. In education can also be important for developing skills and abilities that are useful for and collaborative in team in a sense for success in the kind of an environment. Individuals who learn through an active team-based learning curriculum had greater long-term knowledge and compared to a traditional passive lecture curriculum. TBL is often compared to the traditional one-way lecture format that does not develop the skills in students. On the other hand, TBL can engage students and provide an environment of collaborative learning and discussion. TBL is resource efficient in digitally enabled classroom settings. The use of TBL cuts the amount of paper used in the lesson. Save the trees. Since most of learning happens in form of discussions and feedback sessions in class, unnecessary paperwork is left out of equation altogether. In addition, instructors can gather data on the performance of class and automate students. Thank you.